Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Floodlights Camera Action. From Ryan Gravenberg to Ryan Coogler, we look to bridge the gap between film and football and tell you exactly what films you should be watching and what ones to avoid. I'm Jack, but a podcast is only as good as its co-host. Every week, I'm joined by my good friend Veronika to work through the do's and don'ts of film watching. Veronika, how are you? Not so tired, I presume.
No, I feel incredible because Liverpool have won the league yesterday and I was at work, but then I came home from work and I watched through all the celebrations and everything that happened after, and it was great. Actually, I wanted to talk about it for a bit because before the season started, okay, I was learning video editing, like before we did podcasts or whatever, and then Klopp left, and I was like, okay, so like, as cope, I'm gonna make TikTok edits of Arne Slot. And I
Oh,
did.
not this shit again.
And I made my TikTok name Arne
Say
Slot
the name.
Sluts
Yep.
on TikTok. I was number one fan
You
of Arne
reclaimed the word
Slot
slut.
from... Yeah. And I was his number one fan from like day minus 1,000, okay? I was there before everyone else was there. And I also went to the preseason game against Sevilla at Anfield before the season started, and I tweeted on the 11th of August 2024 saying, "What a game, we're winning the league." So I take full
that's
credit
interesting
for
because
everything.
I'm currently looking at our predictions, and neither of us had Liverpool winning the league.
Right,
In fairness,
because
I'd have been second.
obviously
I'd have been third.
I was trying to be professional, but in my heart, as I just gave evidence for, I always knew this was going to happen. So I was just waiting for it to be confirmed,
Yeah,
you know.
but you didn't say that though, did you? You didn't say that with your words.
I did, I tweeted it. I made a
said
whole
Man
TikTok
United
account.
fourth.
Yeah,
Man
and...
United fourth and
Wait,
Spurs
no, we'll do a
third.
whole episode reviewing our predictions, okay? Let's let's just let me have this
I'm just
one.
teasing it. I'm
Alright,
just
let's
teasing
move
it.
on.
I think
But
I think
yeah.
we've had quite the year as football fans between us. I think obviously like winning the Premier League is far superior and an achievement to Portsmouth staying up, but Portsmouth on Easter Monday confirmed they would have a place in the Championship next season, which is a very good achievement because we've got the smallest budget in the league. We've had about 16 different centre back partnerships. It's a bit like when Liverpool had like Ozan Kabak and Reece Williams at centre half at points a couple of years ago. So yeah, everyone's cooking on gas really. Everyone's looking good. I finished uni. That's done now. That's weird.
Well
I've kind
done.
of just been lounging. Yeah, it's weird. Like,
Yeah, it must be
I
nice
I
for
tell you what.
some.
Yeah, well, for the short term, and then I have to be an adult. I
You need to
submit my
find a job.
dissertation. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I submit my dissertation on Thursday, and afterwards, like, you kind of expect like this like feeling of like elation or like relief, or whatever, and it was just like nothing. It was like completely just like, oh right, that's just done, is it? But I've got a leavers event on the 16th at Southampton Stadium, which is a bit grim. And
See,
I've
the
got
good thing about
graduation
me is
obviously in
because I'm
July.
so nonchalant when that feeling comes of nothing, I'm just used to it, so I don't really expect anything else.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like a healthy way to live though long term.
Well,
Nonchalance is the death
I
of
never
passion.
mentioned a long
That's
term.
what they say. True. Yeah, I've inferred that, which is I've read between the lines. How is today's episode going to work? We because we've had a few guests, we've had Charlotte Capitelli and Talia Sala, who were both fantastic.
And Seth.
We've not had a chance to just and Seth. Well, yeah, I mean, have we not had an episode between that where it's just been us
No,
two?
it was just BFI Flow.
Okay,
The last
fair
time we
enough.
did a
And
film
Jimmy
review
Erickson.
episode was before that. Yeah.
Wow. So essentially we've got a lot of films to chat about. Veronica's got about 13. I've got about 16. We won't be here for hours and hours, don't you worry. But we have a classic FCA episode where we chat about what we've been watching recently. So, Veronica, do you want to kick us off with a couple of things you've been watching?
Yeah, so this one I kind of already mentioned in the Seth episode weeks ago now, but I went to the Q&A with George McKay? McKay?
Okay, yeah.
I always
we
feel
landed
like
on
I'm
McKay.
saying that wrong. And him and the director Joshua Oppenheimer, but not that one. He's not related, I don't think. So I went to watch The End. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was like... It's It's a good film, but it's really long, and I kept checking the time because you can feel that it's dragging for a long time. I thought George McHale was the best part of the film, like by far. I think he carried. To be honest, I was just waiting for his scenes. And actually, there was some of it reminded me of Dogtooth, the Yorgos film, in concept, like especially George McKay's character, because it's this kind of thing where you have a child who is born out like in this kind of very specific environment that is detached from society and the rest of the world, and everything they learn is from how they've grown up only around their parents or closest family and that specific small environment. And that's what Dogtooth explored as well. So watching that actually made me want to rewatch Dogtooth because it's a million times better. And it also made me think George McKay should be in a Yorgos film because he was very good at playing the part of the son. It was also quite depressing. I already mentioned that the Q&A from Joshua Oppenheimer was very depressing. He basically just said, oh yeah, so like, the world's definitely going to end soon, but all we can do is just slow it down, and yeah, we're basically fucked
Those
and we're going to die.
Oppenheimers are a miserable bunch, aren't they?
Yeah.
You cannot be an Oppenheimer and be happy, that's what I've learned.
So I don't know if I recommend it, because it is really long. Yeah, if you have really nothing else to do, I guess watch it. Also, it's a musical, but like the musical bit isn't the problem. I actually quite like it. I wish it went a bit further with. I don't know. I wish it just went further with everything it was doing, rather than going there and then coming back and then going there again and then coming back again. I just felt like it should have just gone all out, gone crazy, more crazy, and I don't know. It just felt like the execution didn't match the concept. Like it was holding back a bit. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Apparently, it's just me because Seth really liked it. So, yeah. Next film I didn't really watch. Is Shakespeare in Love. I didn't rate it or anything because it was just on TV and I just turned it on and I missed like the first hour, so I just watched the second hour. And it's directed by John Madden, who I thought was the same guy who made Madden, but apparently not. Pretty sure he's also called John Madden.
Different Madden.
I think his name's also John. So it was quite easy to get confused.
Do you want me to Google it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to produce?
It was released in 1998. It had a stacked cast.
Steve Madden did the NFL thing.
Oh. Well, it had a stacked cast, like Gwyneth Paltrow, Judi Dench, Colin Firth, Ben Affleck, and others. But it just made me like Ben Affleck more because he's just a cute guy in this film. I don't know if he's a cute guy in the film. I can't remember what happened, but he looks good. So yeah, shout out Ben Affleck. That's all I have to say because I watched half of it on TV. Then next film I watched was With You at the Create event. It was the Punch Drunk Love screening with the Harris Dickinson. I guess it was a Q&A. It wasn't a masterclass. It was just Q&A.
It wasn't a masterclass.
A masterclass in what?
They branded not answering really questions? Badly.
Ooh. Anyway, so yeah, Harris
looking
Dickinson
cute,
spoke after.
Vibing.
Yeah, masterclass of looking cute, of being pooky.
Yeah.
yeah. So I gave it 3.5. I thought it was really quick. Like I wish it was longer because it ended and I just thought like what? Like I thought it just started. I genuinely thought the film just started. I thought it was gonna go for another like an hour and a half. It could have easily been double the length, I think. And I just am not sure about a few things. I just didn't like a few things. I don't know, maybe it was just the plot or like
it's a bit all over the place.
Adam Sandler's character. I don't know, there was something a bit and I just it didn't click with me. Especially because you said before, like, oh, I relate so much to Adam Sandler from Drunk Love, and I was just watching it like, what part of this did you relate to?
I should clarify because I've said this a few times. I've said this a few times.
You have, yeah.
And that is the reaction. That is the reaction, and I should say like it's not the violence or the outburst.
Right.
I don't know. I think maybe I related to it more when
The
I first saw it
loneliness.
a couple of years ago.
Sorry.
Yeah, kind of. And
Yeah.
like I don't know, yeah, there was just something like there's something inherently awkward and like what do you call it, introverted about Adam Sandler's. I think it's
But I
fantastic.
don't think
By the
you're
way,
introverted or
absolutely
awkward.
happy with your rating. Not
I don't
anymore,
see it.
but like a couple of years
Oh,
ago, well, yeah, because people. This is why I should clarify. When I first saw it about
okay.
2.5 years ago, I saw a lot of myself in Adam Sandler's character. And now, yeah, weirdly, he's not my favorite character in the film anymore. My favorite character, well, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, of course, but um,
He's in it for like
yeah,
two
I'm very happy
scenes.
with your rating. Yeah, but he like absolutely steals the film.
Well,
I love
I
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
guess.
I love it. I will say, I
I
did feel
also
like
this. I
I was
haven't
gonna have an
watched any
aneurysm
other
while I was
Paul
watching it.
Thomas Anderson films. Actually, no, I have Licorice
Yeah,
Pizza. That's
you're gonna
literally it. I've only watched two.
yeah, you should try and watch Phantom Thread before his new one comes out.
I will watch like most of them before the new one comes out. I just
Good,
haven't in
even
the
better,
past.
even better. Watch his music
But
videos
yeah,
as well;
that's
they're
my
fun.
three. You can go
Where
ahead
should
with
I pick up?
yours.
Don't have to cover Punch Drunk Love because we chatted about that. I will go from the 30th of March, in which I saw two films. First one I saw was Raging Bull by Martin Scorsese. This
What day
was
did you just say? I thought we were. Did you not watch on the 4th
30th
and
of
5th?
March of April.
30th of March. Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you said May, and I was really
Yeah.
confused. Okay.
No. But that's in the future, so I wouldn't have done that. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so after we interviewed Seth, I was inspired to watch Raging Bull. It had been on my radar for a while, and I'm easily influenced. So I stuck it on.
Dick
It's the
Rider.
story of Jake LaMotta. Yeah, Dick Ryder. Yeah, of course. That's actually not a character's name. The character's name is Jake LaMotta. Um, it's a boxing film. That is also very much a character study in the similar vein of Taxi Driver, not thematically. Well, I mean, sort of thematically, I guess, but it's kind of yeah. The character is at the center. This is going to be another mention for the GOAT, Thelma Schoonmaker, the GOAT editor. She edits this film so well. It's absolutely insane the cut she decides to do. The kind of the surreal editing style, the dreamlike editing style. It's unbelievable. I also really like the cinematography by Michael Chapman. That was really good. And De Niro is very strong. He reminds me a lot of Stephen Graham in This Is England. I ranked it at 4 stars. It's a very, very good film, but I think that was a weird pronunciation. The raw enjoyment isn't enough to tip it over to a 4.5 or a 5. But it's a very good film. Next up, I watched Marathon Man because I'm kind of enjoying Dustin Hoffman a lot at the moment. He's not one of my favorites, but he's like approaching that conversation. Essentially, he plays a graduate student, and he loves loves running, and he gets kind of drawn into a conspiracy alongside his brother, played by Roy Schneider, who is fantastic. He's really good in all that jazz as well. Very much recommend that film. Um, about a diamond heist orchestrated by a Nazi war criminal played by Laurence Olivier, who is unbelievable. Yeah, it's good. It's 3 stars. I needed a bit more from it. It felt like by the end it was like, oh yeah, it was just all right. It was just a decent thriller, but I went into it with higher expectations, so I was slightly let down. But the next day, I decided to watch another film with "Man" in the title, ahead of Edgar Wright and Glenn Powell's remake coming out later in the year. I watched the original Running Man from 1987, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by someone, Paul Michael Glazer. Um, this was a lot of fun. 4 stars, I should say, off the bat. This is really cheesy, really fun. Um, Arnold is just really hamming it up massively. Like there's just constant one-liners to make your eyes roll. Um, I would love if it had a different director. I feel like if John Carpenter directed this, kind of I look at like Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China. I think this has potential to push a 5-star film. Whereas it never really goes any deeper than the fun and the very surface level critique of capitalism and I guess consumerism. So it's a very fun film. I recommend it. It's cheesy, and I'm very excited for the remake. Glenn Powell can probably do the Arnold role. Like he'll do okay. I'm not sure he's quite got the physicality, but I think he can definitely do the one-liners. I think he can ham it up. I think he's got that in him. But it's Common Domingo, who I believe is going to play the main villain, the game show host, who I think there is a very, very, very good performance there for him. It suits his style. He can be a bit cheesy. He can be mean. He can be, just really, really go for it. So I'm excited for that. So that's my first three. Over to you.
Yeah, we can talk about these next two together, I guess, because they're just the other two screenings from Picture House Create. First one of which being
Get the bad one out of the way.
film
Get the bad one out of the way
called
first.
a film called Tornado, which hasn't released yet. It was a preview screening. Robbie Ryan was there for a Q&A, and the director, whose name I've forgotten.
John McClane.
Yeah. And Robbie Ryan is like a really good cinematographer.
He's got aura, by the way. He just looks cool.
He's
I saw him get
like
pictures of
really
people.
cool. He's done a few Yorgos films in the past, so he's
And
great.
this film was shot well. This film was
And it is shot
in my
well.
opinion.
So we just want to
That's
say,
the only
Robbie
positive.
Ryan, listen,
Innocent.
it's nothing to do with you, okay? Your hands are clean. It's about this girl who has a puppet show at a thing in, I don't know what time.
It's a samurai film set in
1920?
Scotland. I'd say earlier than that. I think like
1876.
1600s, 17, yeah,
right,
something like that.
I don't know. But anyway, and she's like running away from this group of Scottish, sorry, Scottish men.
It's all the same to you, isn't it?
And Jack Loudon is one of them, and he is quite bad, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean the script doesn't help him because he just constantly leans on trees and goes.
Oh, the film is called Tornado.
The entire yes, we should say it was called Tornado.
I mean, don't go watch it because I gave it 1 star. But
so did I.
You
yeah,
also gave it 1 star.
Film. Yeah. Can I give some broader thoughts on it? Some more specific thoughts?
You kept sighing the whole time, and I actually thought it was quite rude. You were just like, oh, the whole time.
Yeah, I was really pissed off with the film. As you said, the cinematography is quite good.
We left before the Q&A started, by the way.
Which is a good decision, by the way.
Which was a good decision because I just didn't want to hear about it. I just don't care. I think I just went to sit
Did we
down.
chat with Chris afterwards? Yeah,
probably.
I quite liked Tim Roth in it. He was like, all right, I guess. The script and the direction. Yeah, God, yeah. I remember thinking going into the credits, I was like, this is a bad film, of course it is. But I was thinking quite a lot about going into the credits. I was like, that cannot have been written and directed by the same guy, because for me, half the film was trying to be like this kind of like not comedy, but more comedic thriller, and the other one was trying to be like a revenge thriller. Yeah, exactly. And the direction, the script, bear in mind it was written and directed by the same guy, John McClane, which is completely at odds of each other, which led to this weird tonal mismatch. I'm not sure how true this is, but I swear someone mentioned that apparently they only allowed themselves to do 1 take for every scene. I'm not sure how true that is, but that would make sense. Yeah, you can really tell. I mean, the line delivery is mental, and not in like Adam Driver and Megalopolis mental, just like bad,
boring.
It's just like really,
which is a sin.
It's just a really boring film. And then you get to the third act, and there's a bit more violence and blood and stuff like that, and you'd think, where was that the entire time? Now, I get the argument is like, oh, actually, you should really hold back, and you should wait until the third act. But the whole film is so boring. The whole film is so boring. It's like, just give me something, give me anything. So yeah, bad film.
The puppet show was interesting. Before. They should have just had the whole film as a puppet show.
Yeah, that would be a good concept, better. But unfortunately, they chose the most boring way of telling it. Because actually, the concept is a bit out there, and I think John McClane, apparently in his debut, he did it's kind of like genre bending, location bending. I think it's a western set in Scotland, for example.
His name, I'm not gonna lie, he sounds like someone who makes westerns. John McClane, Jesus.
Yeah. But
Sounds like a cowboy.
I feel like the concept's okay. Like on surface level, I was relatively excited for the film, but yeah, and it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah. And then the next film we watched was the last screening of Picture House Crate. It was Velvet Goldmine from 1998, directed by Todd Haynes, who I think we're both fans of, right?
Goat,
Made December and
not goat, but like
other films.
and this.
And Sandy Powell was there, who's the costume designer, and she was also costume designing The Favourite, which she never mentioned in the Q&A, and I was really upset about that. So maybe she doesn't like Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm not trying to start beef, but there's some tension there. That's what I'm saying.
He was the only. So she just
he was the only director she didn't talk about.
Yeah.
To be fair, she wasn't asked about him, but yeah.
Yeah, but she wasn't asked about a lot of people, and she brought them up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so this
she
film
didn't like
is
bad questions, and I respected that.
Yeah, I actually respected the fact that if she did like a question, she'd just say one word or just say I don't want to talk about that. That was really good. She should come on a podcast. I'm sure we can get more good answers out of her.
Imagine an interview
Not in
between
like
her
a
and Harris
torture way. I
Dickinson.
mean,
There'd be no questions answered if it was her and Harris Dickinson in a room.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, the film is really good. I actually have given it 4 stars. You gave it 5. Yeah,
I'll talk about it later. But I'll let you cook.
So it's about these glam rock stars, like mega stars. It's kind of like a.
It's
I don't know how
not
to
David
explain
Bowie, but
it. It's kind of based on real people, but kind of not. I guess it's inspired by that kind of era.
David Bowie it's heavily draws from David Bowie and people of
definitely.
that era. Without actually calling them David Bowie, it's kind of like
yeah.
They as you say, they're like inspired, and they kind of like extrapolate out to different figures.
Yeah. And you don't feel the runtime at all. It's 2 hours. Like it flies so quickly. The pacing is great. The directing's great. It has you hooked the whole time. I actually want to shout out. Well, okay, I will name a few people in the cast, but I do want to talk about one specific one. So you have Ewan McGregor, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Toni Collette, Christian Bale, Eddie Izzard, among
Love
others.
Eddie Izzard, by the way.
Actually, real quick, I said this to Jack after the film. Toni Collette in this film looks like Sydney Sweeney. Trust me, you might not get it, okay? But then when I say it, you'll see it, okay? Just, trust me. So if there's a Sydney Sweeney biopic, Toni Collette should play Sydney Sweeney is what I'm saying. Not the other way around.
Or Toni Collette from the 90s should play Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, well, they can do some magic and make her look younger, I guess, or just go from Sydney Sweeney being Toni Collette's age to later. Just do a later life biopic without it happening. Anyway, but that's what I wanted to talk about, even though she's great, and I love Toni Collette so much. I want to talk about Christian Bale, because I think he's great. I love Christian Bale in this film so much. Every time he goes on screen, I'm like, I cannot believe that is Christian Bale. But also, he's so great, and I love him. I love him so much. I kept seeing Patrick Bateman, by the way, in his eyes, which is really weird.
Yeah,
because it's like the opposite.
Genuinely mean is, I think this is one of his best performances. I think he's so good in this film. And there's a scene where
amazing.
one of my favorite moments of his is when the main character Brian Slade, played by Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, is talking about being bisexual, and Christian Bale, who's like a 20-year-old guy, maybe a little bit younger, he's sat in his family living room with his parents, who are like these kind of like really uptight, like sneery lot. And he's like, "That's me, that's me," and he's so adorable. And then it kind of flips to him when he's older, and it's like I think it's a really, really, really great performance, and he absolutely deserves his plaudits.
Yep. And we are giving him his plaudits because he's great. And God, I just didn't know he had that in him. Like, maybe it's because the films I've watched, he's always played. I guess Patrick Bateman's kind of like, it's a satire, so I think it's funny anyway. But it's definitely not this. Like, it just stands out from his filmography as a role. Like, it definitely stands out, and I recommend anyone watch this film. I think it's a great watch.
Can I give some
in
thoughts as
general.
well, just before?
Yeah, I thought you already did, to be
Um,
honest, but go for it.
well, I've got more to say about it. So we
Yeah,
should say it was
you're the one who gave it 5 stars,
shown
so
on.
go for it.
Yes, yeah, I should say I gave it
35
5 stars.
mil.
I expected to. Yeah, I was gonna say it was shown on 35mm. It's gorgeous to look at on that print. I went into this film excited to watch it, but didn't really have massive expectations. And yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I thought it had such an energy to it, a real personality led by Sandy Powell, the costume designer, and Todd Haynes, the director. I love Todd Haynes. He did May December, did this, he did that Bob Dylan film. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it'll come back to me. And just from the off, like even from the opening credits, it just has such. I'm Not There as a Bob Dylan film, I should say. It has such a personality to it. Every character feels lived in, depth, regardless if they're on screen a lot of the time or not. The soundtrack is incredible. The performances are great, especially Christian Bale. Was really good to see Eddie Izzard as well because he's one of my comedy heroes. I love Eddie Izzard. Um, and yeah, it was such an amazing experience, and I was so satisfied and just happy by the end of the film. Because as you say, it's so watchable, and I'm going to rewatch it soon. I think maybe in a month or two. Although I'm sure it won't hit quite as well as seeing it on 35mm. But yeah, it just for me anyway. For me, it's the perfect film, and it was. Obviously, I was really excited before Picture House to see Punch Drunk Love, as well as the networking event. And I saw Velvet Goldmine on the list, and I was like, okay, well, I kind of checked the plot. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I don't love it as much as Punch Drunk Love, of course. But yeah, it's a perfect film. I'll hand back to you now.
I thought I just didn't I do 3? Or maybe I did 2.
You did
Oops.
two. You did Tornado and Velvet
Okay, yeah, I
Goldmine.
can't count to 3. Sorry. Or maybe I'm just delaying because the next film is
You're gonna be a
I
hater
went
again.
to. No, it's the opposite. It's a 5-star
Oh,
film
cool. Oh, nice.
that I watched at the cinema and that you missed. It was La Haine from 1995, which
Yes.
is very much regarded widely as one of the best films of all time. I think that's fair to say. And
Also
I've
one of
been
the best
meaning to
years
watch
for
it.
film.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's actually number 18 in the Letterboxd Top 250. So it's definitely regarded as one of the best films of all time. And we've talked about this before. There's so much pressure that comes when you're watching a film like this that everyone, has such high praise for. Because you're expecting to love it. You're expecting to give 5 stars, right? And if you don't, you're just so disappointed. But I was waiting for this film to be shown at the cinema because I just think films like this, it's not the same watching it at home. I'd rather wait and watch it properly. And I'm so glad that I did because it was in this very small screen. It was quite an intimate viewing. There were only a few people there. And I was so completely drawn into everything that was happening, like completely locked in, pretty much, the whole way through. I don't know how long it was. Yeah, it was 100 minutes, around 100 minutes. I think this is one of my favourite films ever. I just I'm trying not to say too much about it because every
I need
single
to watch it
person should
soon, is what
watch
you say.
it. Everyone has to watch it. Like, you have to go and watch it if you can at a cinema. But I definitely want to buy a copy of it to have at home. I think BFI has a good copy of it on Blu-ray,
Charging
maybe.
£10 million for every Blu-ray.
Well, you could buy on another website rather than the BFI shop because they just overcharge you for no reason. Yeah, it's just it follows these 3 guys in Paris, and it's during a time of a lot of unrest. So there's riots and things going on.
The French writing, that's unlike them.
Yeah, but it's like it. I don't know. I really don't want to say too much because you have to watch it, but it builds tension so well, and it gets you really engaged and involved in what's going on and the characters and everything. And then you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, this is a great film, but then it gets to the last third, maybe, and then the actual ending. And when it ends and the credits roll, you just sit there with it. Like, it completely blows you away, and then everything clicks, and you're just like, what did I just watch? This is one of the best films I've ever seen. It's one of those. You just have to see it. It's definitely 5 stars. I'm not changing that. I debated putting it into my 4 favourites for now, because obviously I just change them whenever. And it's been a long time since I've seen a 5-star film, actually. The last time I gave it 5 stars was when I rewatched Barbie, and that was with an orchestra, so obviously I would give it 5 stars.
Can I ask what your
And then before
what your
that was
current top
Everybody
4
Wants
is?
Some.
Can you refresh us what your
Mine
current
is.
top 4
I
is?
haven't changed mine in a long time. It's
Oh, right.
been
I
Paris,
thought
Texas.
Go. Go on.
Oh. No, I haven't changed it in a while. It's been Paris, Texas, Poor Things, La La Land, and Babylon. Because these 4 are some of my favourite directors. Actually, these 3. Paris, Texas is just my favourite film of all time, and that's never going to change, I think. And then I need to have a Yorgos film. I need to have a Chazelle film. I have 2 Chazelle films. I could probably change one of them. But then it's like, which one do I kick out? Do I kick out La La Land, which I've watched like 10 times, once at the cinema, once with an
Can't kick
orchestra.
out La La Land.
I watch it every single year, and it makes me cry every single year. I listen to the soundtrack. And then you have Babylon, which is just... I absolutely love it. Like, it's incredible. I cannot kick out Babylon. I actually think it might be better than La La Land on rewatch. I'm not gonna lie.
Whoa.
I don't know. There's just something about it that is so like... It's like that feeling when I watch a Yorgos film where I feel, this was made for me. Like, this is exactly what I want from a film. You know? Maybe it's not perfect.
When I was lonely watching Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, like, maybe it's not a perfect film, and there's so many flaws in this film, but they're flaws that I can absolutely ignore or even find good in, and I just love the rest of it so much that I will fight for it forever until I die. That's how I feel about Babylon, and that's how I feel about Yorgos films, so... I don't know, maybe I'll remove... Oh god, no, that's too hard. I literally watch La La Land every year, I can't just remove it. I don't care what people say. Like, this is too hard. This should be a top 4.
The reason I asked about your top 4 is because you just prefaced that by saying, yeah, I kind of move it around quite a bit. I'd kind of change it up. And the Hank could go in, and then I've gone, oh, what's your top 4? Oh, I've not changed it in actually 800 years. It's sticking there.
Yeah, well, guess what? I'm changing it now.
Whoa.
Because I do say it's not my top 4 films, so it's just how I feel, and that's my most recent 5 stars, so... I have felt the same for a year, yeah.
Hopefully that's
I actually have. No, not really.
Oh, good. Do you want me to crack on whilst you update Letterboxd?
I'm actually going to change 2 of my top 4.
2? Wow, what's going on?
Okay, while you speak, okay?
Okay, we'll come back to you in a minute. On the 1st of April, I watched Black Bag by Steven Soderbergh, one of the coolest directors of all time. Got 4.5 stars. This is locked in for now as the horniest and most romantic movie of 2025. It is sharp, it is sleek, it is sexy. Everyone is acting their arse off. The lighting is magnificent. I'm not sure what the technological term is, but like the glow of the lamps is unbelievable. And Tom Burke is in it. Tom Burke of Furiosa fame, who I really liked in that film. Kate Blanchett, who's obviously great. Michael Fassbender, obviously great. Marissa Abella, who Veronica loves. Pierce Brosnan, Regé-Jean Page, Naomi Harris. This is just a really good film, and it's 90 minutes long. It's kind of a classic espionage whodunit, sort of, with a lot of character, a lot of humor at points as well. It's got a really effective MacGuffin. It's just a bit of a throwback. It's really, really satisfying. Veronica, I believe you like it as well quite a lot. Am I right in saying it?
Yeah, I did. I really liked it. I already spoke about it, so I just don't want to intrude. Marissa Abella.
No, that's fine. I was just
That's all I have to say.
shout out Marissa Abella. So yeah, that's a really good film. I then we then obviously had the picture house stuff as well as the shorts. I won't get into that because me and Charlotte Captelli discussed it a couple of weeks ago. But the next film I watched after that was Rain Man on the 10th of April. As you know, I love Tom Cruise. I love Dustin Hoffman. This has been on my radar a lot. Tom Cruise is really good, as is Dustin Hoffman, I should say. And there's a woman in it played by Valeria Golino, who is so beautiful. It made me want to cry. Um, it kind of weirdly felt. I should say I gave it 3 stars. It's a good film, but again, I wanted more. It felt a little lazy in delivery. It was a little bit too long. Although the third act is good, it kind of feels a little bit like the Green Book, which again I liked, but is absolutely flawed. Um, in that, it's obviously the Green Book is very much about racism and segregation and etc. etc. This is about autism. But essentially, it's a road trip film where you have one character who is how do I put this? Is the subject of discrimination or not truly understanding. And then you've got in this you've got Tom Cruise in Green Book. You've got Viggo Mortensen who kind of I always struggle when films kind of lean on that trope of like, oh, he actually helped me. It's like, just don't be a dick in the first place. Um, but it's pretty heartfelt. Tom Cruise is really good. He's kind of in his era where he's quite snarky and in his mid to early 20s, and he's like quite punchable. Again, it's a good film, but it's overrated. It's 3 stars. It could have and should have been a lot better. And the next one I watched was in the cinema on the 12th of April, at number 6 cinema in Portsmouth. I watched one of my favourite films of all time, David Lynch's best film, I think. I watched Wild at Heart, which I'd seen a couple of months prior. And I probably reviewed on the podcast a couple of months ago. This is, I really like films that make just radical and insane choices, technically and plot wise. And this film is absolutely that. It's off the wall, bonkers. It's really brave. Nicolas Cage gets a lot of shit. I'm not like a huge Nicolas Cage fan, but in this he is really, really good. But his performance gets a lot of shit. I can sort of see why, but I think he's great. But Harry Dean Stanton is an actor I've not seen loads of, but whenever I've seen him, I've liked him. I know he's
He's
in
in Paris,
Texas, I believe. There we
Yeah.
go. And he plays a really small role in this film, but he really stood out on rewatch. There's he's basically his character is just fucking going through it the entire time. He's like his romantic partner is like absolutely mental. People are trying to kill him all the time. But there's a scene where he says, and this isn't a major spoiler at all, but there's a scene where maybe around halfway, a little before, he says, "I love you," and it is the most heartbreaking, beautiful delivery because he kind of gets choked up on his words and he doesn't really fully enunciate it. He's kind of said it through bated breath, and yeah, he's just magnificent. And yeah, this just I love David Lynch. I'm going to rewatch Lost Highway very soon. I've about a third of the way into Twin Peaks season 2. After that, I watched Fire Walk with Me. Yeah, it was such a good film to see in the cinema because the audience were very confused, a lot of them. And then you had some that me that were just fucking locked into what to expect. But there was a lot of first time watches. But yeah, I've got 7 films left in total, so I'll go 3 and 4 after you.
I also have 7. So yeah, well done.
Perfect. Go 3 and 4.
Okay, well, the next one I watched was definitely a downgrade from La Haine. I watched Novocaine,
Not
which
in the top
actually
4 then, no?
rhymes.
What's in your top 4 now? What's in your top 4?
Oh yeah, I changed it.
Or should we wait? Should we go to the end of the episode?
Yeah.
People get drawn in.
Tease. I mean, you could just look up my profile, but wait till the end of the episode. I'll let you know
Who's
what
doing
I
that?
did. Okay, so I watched Novocaine, which is a new film, 2025. I gave it 2.5. It's definitely a bit too long. It shouldn't. This is like a
Really?
film that should be a tight 90 minutes.
How long was it? Because I've seen it as well, but I didn't really clock
Almost
the
2
runtime.
hours.
Jesus Christ, really? Oh my god, it
Yeah.
is. I didn't really feel the runtime much. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a lie. In the middle, you do kind of feel it. I get what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah. Um, so I mean, it's just like a fun, stupid film. You know, Jack Quaid is the lead, and he's really good. I think he's a very charming kind of actor. He basically plays the same character he plays in The Boys. Like, let's be honest.
he's got no range whatsoever.
He doesn't,
But
but
what he has is good.
we
What he has
still
is
love
good.
him. Yeah, he's good at it, and who cares? Like, they're if you see Jack Quaid in leading a film like this, you probably will watch it because you know it's just going to be fun and stupid, which is what this film is. I think there's a few. It does keep it interesting. This concept of a guy who can't feel pain, although some of it doesn't make sense to me. But uh, yeah, I don't really understand how he doesn't die because it's not like he's invincible. Oh wait, spoiler alert. uh, like he's not
Or
invincible.
does
He just
he?
doesn't feel. Yeah, or does he? But the film is like it's a guy who can't feel pain, but he can still die. Like he's not more like I don't know. He doesn't have like a higher health bar than the average human being. So how does he survive all this shit, even though he can't feel it? Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
That just doesn't really make sense to
he
me.
didn't look great by the end of the film.
He didn't, but how is he alive? Surely he's lost so much blood.
Because it's a
Oh,
yeah, that's a
whatever.
good point. It's a film. It's stupid. It doesn't have to be serious.
It is
But I
stupid,
absolutely
but
agree with you.
yeah, come on. Like, it's a bit alright. Anyway, so I guess watch it if you're really, really struggling to find something to watch, but don't really also because
You're a
it's a bit
hater.
of a.
You're a hater.
Uh.
It's just a good film. It's a good time.
Anyway, next film I watched, I still don't think you have. I went to Q&A preview screening of Warfare, which is a new Alex Garland film, and I settled on 4 stars. When the film ended, okay, no, that's not true. Maybe before the bit before the credits. So when the ending of the film happened,
Do not spoil this film. Be
I
careful.
was definitely like wow, like that was like some films you watch and afterwards you're like, yeah, that had an impact on me, you know, like you just sit there and you're like, Jesus Christ, like what the fuck did I just watch? Like it was just it did kind of blow me away. Maybe because I sat in the second row and I just every like bit of the sound, which by the way, this is probably some of the best sound I've experienced in a film. And I didn't watch it in IMAX at the BFI or whatever, but if I did, it would probably be the best sound I've ever heard in a film, like at a cinema.
Do you know if
Sitting
Do
in
you
the
know if
second row
Alex Garland
genuinely
works the
made me feel
same
like I was
sound team?
in the middle of a war scene. Huh?
The sound of his films are always great. I don't know. Does he work with the same sound people on all of his films, or is it just
I
he just
don't
knows how to pick
know.
them? Because
I don't know.
Civil War, the sound was great as well.
Yeah, Civil War. I don't know if it had a nomination. We definitely nominated it for sound, I think. It was
Yeah, I think
quite a
so.
few people who were in charge of the sound, so I don't know. But
I'll try and find out for you.
yeah. So when it immediately ended, I thought 4.5 maybe I was going to give it. Then there was something that happened, and I just thought, actually, I'm not sure about the intentions. And then Alex Garland came out for the Q&A, and I definitely wanted him to speak about a lot of things because I wasn't sure. Yeah, you just messaged me. Yeah, he has worked with the same sound team throughout his career,
You're not
which
supposed to
I
say
mean,
that.
okay,
You're supposed to
sorry.
just be seamless.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know. I just found out because you told me. All right. Well, anyway, so I was listening to a Q&A and I was really interested in what he would say because I was like, this kind of does affect how I see the film, what he is about to say about the film, or about
David Lynch would
how.
never.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
He would just refuse to comment.
I don't know. Like, yeah. But then he went through the Q&A, and maybe when you watch the film, I'll go into what he said in the Q&A because obviously it might spoil a bit of the film.
Yeah,
And
don't. Yeah, don't. I
you
want to try
might
and go in.
you might kind of have the same as me, where you end it and you'll be unsure about why and what and how. And then
Which is a good
it
thing,
was
I'd
really
say. Which is a good
helpful.
thing.
Yeah, but it was really helpful to listen to him explain stuff because it does change your view on the film. I think definitely what the director's intentions were, and we can talk about it more in depth later because you might have questions that I might have answers to after you watch it, right? So I
Yeah,
genuinely
and
think
you're
it should be like
obviously the
available
oracle
to
of
watch
knowledge.
somewhere.
So.
No, honestly, I think the Q&A should be available somewhere or like be showing after the film because I definitely went out of that screening thinking, okay, like I don't think he has any bad intentions. And I think that
Oh,
the
so you're
people
saying he
who
does? Wow.
well,
Oh wait, no. Sorry, I've got.
no.
Yeah. Anyway,
I saw a lot of criticism before anyone had ever watched the film about like why it was being made and how it was gonna
yeah.
glorify war
I'm
and
planning on.
whatever.
That wasn't my concern,
But
weirdly enough.
yeah, but everyone who was saying that stuff were people online who haven't watched the film
Can I tell
and
you
were
my current
just
position on the film?
assuming, and I don't like that. I feel like you can't,
Yeah.
especially when no one has watched the film. Like it's not even like they were reading
Yeah.
people's opinions and getting information from that. They had nothing other than the fact that film set in war in Iraq follows soldiers. That's all they had, and they just
Yeah.
started making up these
My so
narratives.
my
I don't
current.
like that.
So I'm gonna try and watch it this week. I'm gonna try. Gonna try and watch that
Yeah.
and Sinners this week. I'm kind of skeptical. I mean, I like Alex Garland as a filmmaker. I think his best work was definitely Ex Machina, and it's been not as good since. Um, I am I'm skeptical. I don't really I don't know. Obviously, I have to watch film to form an opinion. Like that's obvious to say. I don't like people that go in with super preconceived notions. I think it's fine to have an opinion before you see the film. But I'm always I don't know. I always feel like a little bit weird about like I don't really know why I need a film that tells me war is bad. Like I know war is bad. I don't need to be spoon fed that. Like I'm not an idiot. But I guess from
That's funny
purely
you
from a
say that.
film perspective, why is that? Is it
It's funny you say
is it
that
one of the
because
things he said?
no. In the Q&A, he pretty much starts ranting about how people are annoyed and criticize him and his films that are to do with war, saying things like, "Oh, it doesn't explicitly say the war is bad." Or like it doesn't take a political opinion side or whatever, and he says like first of all everything is political if you make a war film, like it's clearly political because it's a film about war.
Even
And also
filmmaking is political.
he said, I'm not gonna spoon feed you. You're an adult. Like, he doesn't make films for kids. If you watch this and afterwards you think, oh, war is good, or, oh, the only takeaway I have from this is that war is bad, then, like, that's a you issue. And if you're one of those people who starts saying, this film should have a specific, like, tell people straight up, like, war is bad, or this side was not good, or whatever, then it's like, you're being patronizing to the audience, thinking that they are unable to have to make their own opinion after watching the film. Does that make
Mm.
sense? So it's like the
Yeah,
people criticizing things like that not being very much spelled out for them. It's like, actually, you're being so patronizing to someone who is going to watch this film. Like, you should just let them watch and have their own opinion, and if their opinion is that war is good or the Americans are the right side of this specific war, then that's just like that's them. That's a
which
them
absolutely
problem.
not,
That's
I
not a
should say.
film problem.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
the last thing I'll say
true.
about it before, yeah, the last thing I'll
And
say before we can
I
move
agree
on.
with what he said, to be honest. But I'll say more about it after you've watched it because I think you might
Yeah.
have some things to say.
My expectations before I see the film, I'm not expecting to love it, and I'm not expecting to hate it. And I don't think Alex Garland says as much as he appears to say. I think he says some fairly obvious stuff in terms of his social commentary within films. That being said, I like the
think
cast.
his aim is to have as little social commentary as possible. That's the thing. I think that's the point. I think that with this film specifically, obviously you've only seen Civil War. This is completely
And Ex
different
Machina.
from Civil War because I think that that was more trying to do social commentary. I think this is genuinely just trying to recreate as closely as possible a specific situation, trying to show exactly what happened. The sound is pretty much he would listen to what the people who were there said they heard at specific times, give it to the sound team, and they try and recreate as closely as possible. There's no music, and he said the reason there's no music is because, music is a manipulator. It tries to make you feel a certain way, whereas he's just trying to show what happens in a situation like this without, trying to affect an audience's perception of, I don't know,
Can I
how
bump
they
it
should feel.
very,
I
very
don't know if
quickly?
that makes sense, but you have to watch it to understand.
It does.
It's a very unique type of film where there's not much of a stance, but you're also stupid if you finish it thinking that there wasn't one. I don't know if that makes sense.
So that's
It
kind of
really
where
doesn't.
that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't get the impression that. So I don't think so. Obviously, I've seen Ex Machina and Civil War. I like both films. I like Ex Machina more. Again, I don't think Alex Garland says as much as you think he does. But the impression I got of Warfare, obviously I've not seen it, is I didn't think it was going for social commentary. It feels more like, as you said, like a pastiche, like almost like I don't know how you put this, like a found footage almost, and like here's what's happened essentially.
Yeah.
And there's less to be said because there's less
It's trying to
room
be
to
as
say
close
things,
to reality as
which
possible, trying to be as
actually
raw as possible. Yeah.
which actually excites me a bit more because, as I said, I don't think Alex Garland is as clever as he thinks he is. That I like him. I'm taking this a little bit, but I
It's a
mean,
very
my
unique
slight
film.
concern is that in doing that, you have to be really accurate and really responsible. So look, when we're back here in a week or two's time, we're
Yeah, we can have
discussing
the
this
debate
format
because
again.
I think
Yeah,
accuracy 10 out of 10. Like, obviously I haven't been in a situation like that, but
yeah.
you could
You as
feel
an
it.
Iraq War
I
veteran,
mean,
you know these things.
yeah, well, you could definitely, I 100% get the accuracy. I've never seen a war film do things as this one does, and there's a specific scene and a specific performance that I will talk about with you when you watch it.
Is it Joseph Quinn?
Yes, and there's a specific
Yeah.
part of it that I really want to talk about because I think it's actually
Should we move
incredible.
on so we don't spoil it?
Yeah, but I just want to say, accuracy 10 out of 10, the responsibility we can definitely debate about because this is the reason why it's 4 stars, is because I'm a little bit iffy on that, to be honest. And I don't think it's his intention for things to be seen in a certain way, but I'm trying to be careful. We'll talk about it next week, okay? And we can have a proper debate and we'll see what you think. Maybe you agree with me. Because I'm not 100% saying that he's made this perfectly and he's spoken about it perfectly, because I don't think he has, which is why I have given it 4
That makes it
stars.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
a very
next film.
interesting thing
Let's
to
move
talk
on.
about, but whatever. Is it still me?
Yes. Yeah, just count how many you got
It's a
left.
quick
You
one
started with
anyway.
7 left.
It's a quick one anyway because it's a rewatch, and I rewatched Baby Girl because my 4K UHD copy arrived, and I watched it with my
Who
mum.
did you watch
actually,
it with,
which
Veronica? Out of interest. Yep.
I watched it with my mum because
I'm not one fan
listen,
of this podcast.
can I just say the first time I watched Baby Girl was at Venice Film Festival, obviously last year. I've never mentioned that before, but that's the first time I watched it, and I was very much not expecting it to be as funny as it was, and every bit of it just hit, and the audience was laughing, and I was laughing. And I just thought it was like a really fun time, and I wasn't expecting it to be as loose with the humor as possible and not taking itself as seriously as I thought it would. So I was just surprised by that, and I loved it, and I gave it 5 stars. Obviously, on rewatch at home, I gave it 4.5 because it's like, I still had a lot of fun. I think some of the scenes, like the rave scene, are just so great. Like, I just think they're so fun.
That is my favourite scene in the film. I'm so glad
Nicole
you said that.
Kidman's performance,
It's shot
I think,
really
is
well.
great. Yeah, it is. I think the directing is really good. I mean, Harris Dickinson, obviously, he spoke about the fact that he was quite embarrassed doing that dancing scene, and it made me cringe watching it now because I know that he didn't enjoy it. And it's kind of like, oh god, like, stop doing that, like, you don't have to. But obviously, it's a film. And he's an actor and he gets paid for it. And I'm sure he loved it, really. But anyway, I gave it 4.5. It's still a fun film. My mum actually liked it, which I was surprised because she usually doesn't like films like this. I also forgot what some of these scenes were, and I did kind of regret watching it with her at times, but
yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't think that's fucking explicit content banned again. But yeah, some of the scenes are
yeah, I just
interesting. I
forgot
wouldn't watch
about
it with
them
my mum,
because
for example.
I forgot about them because the scenes that I love the most are nothing to do with that. It's just like the rave scene, or like the scene
Sure,
where
yeah, whatever you
where
say.
Harris and Antonio Banderas are like having that confrontation. I like that scene, and I don't know, like the scene where she goes and stands in the corner. It's just like, that's so funny to me. So yeah, I just
I
forgot
think
about the rest of it. It's just a fun film. I think
I
it's a
think
good rewatch film.
Antonio, I definitely, yeah, I'd say so. Antonio Banderas, by the way, for me, is the best performance in the film. I think he's really, really, really good. Like, obviously, Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson are good, like really good, and they're fun. But I feel like
Hmm.
there's way more emotional depth with Banderas, I would say. I'm not sure
I think
how it
he's
was in
great,
rewatch
and he gets
until,
ignored whenever anyone talks about the film. Which, I mean, I didn't even know he was in it
which
because
is, I
everyone was
guess,
so focused on the
fits.
two leads. Yeah.
I think that kind of works in the film's favor because, well, he is put to the side. He is almost like cuckolded in a way, by by Harris Dickinson. And I'll talk about it when I discuss the film later on. But I think sometimes it works when you shun a character and when you shun a plot point when it is supposed to be smaller and it's more impactful. I think it kind of works in the film's favor. I think it's one of the. I think for me, Baby Girl is a film that's very flawed. It's a good film, but one that's very flawed. But I think Antonio Banderas is easily the most captivating character in the entire film.
Yeah, sure. I just loved it. I give 4.5. I may have one more left, don't I? Yeah. Do I? You know what, I'll just go with it so then I have three left, okay? So
Yeah,
the
that
next
makes
film
sense.
I
Yeah, do that.
watched was actually this is a little story that involves you, isn't it? Because I watched On Becoming a Guinea Fowl from last year. Is someone calling me right now? Okay, someone just started calling me, and then stopped calling me. Okay,
Oh,
that's very strange.
she's got so many
Sorry,
fans.
sorry, I'm just really busy. But anyway, On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, it released last year at Cannes Film Festival. I think it won an award for Best Director at one of those competitions. And I watched it because Jack and I had brunch with the lead actress, Susan Shardy,
Charlie.
at the Picture House
Oh,
Create
yeah.
event. And
Lovely woman.
this
Lovely,
was
lovely
her
woman.
first role. She doesn't have anything else on her letterbox. She was really nice. We actually just spoke about films for like an hour. And I think she's like Charlie Fraser, right? Where she was a model and
I was
she's
going to
still
make
a
that
model.
comparison, yeah.
But she then, I guess, has also been into acting, and this was her first lead role. And I actually think she's great. I think she's my favorite part of the film. I'm not being biased, but she is the best part of the film. I think it's definitely one that people should watch, and I think that the themes in it are very important. I gave it 3.5 because I think that the director has only made a few films, and I think that she still has room to improve, I guess. And there were parts of the film where I just kind of zoned out, to be honest. I'm sorry. But
Is that
I can
script
still
or plot
respect
or
it. I don't know. There were just parts of it that went a bit slower, but I think the lead was very good. The supporting cast was also very good. I just think I wanted a bit more in some unquantifiable sense. But I still recommend it. I mean, it's very much been praised highly, and it's worth a watch. But yeah, shout out Susan. I also think she's a Liverpool fan, so I'm sure she's
She is.
celebrating.
She's a big red. Yeah, like Pete Bot.
Yeah. Well, your turn now. Before I go into my next three
My turn.
films, last three films actually.
Um, last three films. So it's six more. You got three. Um, yes. Talking of things I wanted a bit more from. There's a joke there somewhere. I watched Demolition, 2015 release, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, as a widower who isn't grieving. That's kind of the film. You would have been familiar with the film because there is a scene in it where he gets off of a train or a metro, or whatever they call it, and he's dancing to music with headphones on. That is, I'll be honest, that is why I watched the film, as well as obviously Jake Gyllenhaal is a favourite of this podcast. I think I'm pretty confident saying that.
Yeah, I love him. He's one of my
Um,
favorite actors.
yeah, he's very watch. I think he's one of the most watchable actors for sure. This film, it's good. It's the 3 star. It's good. It's kind of funny. It's kind of heartfelt. But ultimately, I was left wanting a lot more from it. I think if it had a better director, the one I mentioned in my review, I think if Charlie Kaufman, however you say his name, if he wrote or directed this, I mean, both would be the dream. I think this would be a substantially better film. Also, it's got Chris Cooper in it. Chris Cooper's good. Um, by the end of the film, you are kind of just left going, okay, that was, it's all right, it's good. Um, it was a little boring in parts, but on the whole, positive. I mean, I'm not sure to recommend it, but the next one I watched though on the 17th of April was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, starring and directed by Ben Stiller. It's got Sean Penn in it, who, despite being an absolute shitbag, I do like Sean Penn. It's got Kristen Wiig, Adam Scott, Catherine Hahn, Patton Oswalt, Adrian Martinez, who I really like. This is one of my dad's favorite films, and my dad's been recommending me this film for so long, and I've been wanting to watch it, and I've only just got around to it. Essentially, a Walter Mitty is someone who, as far as I know, is somebody who kind of lives in their own head, and the things they talk about, like stories, it's often untrue and it's often fantastical, and it's all in their brain, and they kind of daydream a lot. And the main character is Walter Mitty is very much that. He's just kind of coasting by. He doesn't really have any romantic connections. His life isn't interesting at all. He's not done anything. And then a point comes where he is on the brink of losing his job, and he has to go and hunt down to get a photo that's missing, taken by Sean Penn's character. Um, and it's such a simple concept, in that, look, he's just a man stuck in his own head. He finds his identity, um, and finds a story in his life, I guess. But it's incredibly moving. I should say it's 4.5 stars for me. Could get five potentially one day. It's incredibly moving. It's very ambitious in its execution, despite the simple concept. The cinematography is stunning. The editing's fun, and like kind of that 2010s chic. In that, like, it's quite stylized, which is fun. It's really heartwarming. Ben Stiller's really good in it. I really like Sean Penn in his very small role. It starts a little slow, but in my opinion, that's necessary. If it came straight out the traps, it wouldn't have worked, because you kind of need to feel the mundanity and the daydream nature of Walter Mitty's life. It's a story and a film that will make you feel much better about yourself, and optimistic, and wanting to go out and do things and see people, and create stories. It's very moving. It's a very good film. Not really any complaints. And the next one I saw of this batch on the 19th of April, I had the pleasure of watching Four Mothers in the cinema at number 6 in Portsmouth. Obviously, you'll remember back to last month, I think it was. We interviewed Darren Thornton, the director, and James McArdle, the lead actor at BFI Flair, but we couldn't get a ticket for the screening, so we just didn't see the film, which is a shame. But this was 4 stars for me. It was delightful. It was so lovely. It's not like it doesn't look to reinvent the wheel. It's not like a really unique film, but it's very lovely. It's very heartfelt. It's funny. James McArdle is very good, and more people should cast him in things, in my opinion. But for me, the standout is how do I say her name? Fionnuala Flanagan, who plays James McArdle's mum in the film, who conveys the full range of emotions despite not being able to speak. She completely steals the show. She's incredible. I found the cinematography and lighting to be really warm. The editing was fun. And yeah, I felt better after watching the film. I think it's super heartfelt. It's made by really good people, which I think helps a lot. And yeah, I just kind of felt really optimistic and happy after watching it. Um, so yeah, that was got four more after this, and then we're done. So what's your next three, Veronica?
I think you should do one more. So we have three left.
Should I do one more? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll end this section on a low. Um, I will. I should say, even when you take it into account, well, take out of account rather, try and ignore the really heinous allegations against Woody Allen. He's a director and a writer that I have a really mixed relationship with, I guess you could say. Like, I quite liked Midnight in Paris, despite the fact I think the writing's. I should say, in my opinion, Woody Allen is one of the worst mainstream screenwriters in Hollywood history, and modern history at least. I think he's a really awful writer, which is weird because he gets a lot of love for his writing, but I think it's easily the worst part of his filmmaking skill set. Obviously, the worst part is the allegations, of course, but purely filmmaking wise, I think he's a god awful writer. I think he's terrible. Hated Rainy Day in New York, but I like Midnight in Paris. So I checked out Manhattan. It'd been on my list for a while because it's really well reviewed. 3.9 average on Letterboxd. Bit of a classic. It was only an hour and a half long, and I thought, right, this will be it. This is come on, make or break now, Woody. I'm going after one of the classics. What have you got for me? Um, it turns out what Woody Allen wanted to do in one of his classic films is pose the question: is it really that bad if a 40-year-old dates a 17-year-old girl? And you think, Jesus Christ, Woody, what are we doing here, mate? Um, it's, despite the dialogue itself, like the dialogue is relatively natural, which I like, but the writing itself is awful. It's cringy. His characterizations are weak. He imprints way too much of his own ego influenced self-image on his lead characters, posing himself as this. He doesn't pose himself as perfect. He absolutely does not do that. But he's so clearly trying to posit himself as someone who's introspective and like flawed and like, oh my, I'm actually like a good person, but I've actually got my issues. It's like, fuck off, Woody. And he can't write women at all. Like at all. It's one star film. It's shot beautifully in black and white, and the score is nice. But it was ultimately boring. It was cringy. It was a drag at 90 minutes. I do not recommend this film. That being said, I've got a couple more Woody Allen films on my list just because I want to get around to them. I've been told that what was the film called? Purple Rose of Cairo will be the one to watch. It's 80 minutes long. If I don't like that, I will not like any Woody Allen films. So I'm going to check that out soon. But yeah, Manhattan, bad film. Woody Allen, terrible writer. Okay director. Bad bloke. So that's my four.
Okay. My mic just fell.
Yeah, I heard that.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'll try and get that removed.
No, just leave it. It's
Just leave
interesting,
it in,
I guess. So yeah, the next film I watched was 2006 release called Reprise, right?
Yeah, Reprise.
Directed by Joachim Trier, who also directed Oslo, August 31st, which is, I think, one of my favourite films ever. I definitely gave it 5 stars. Or maybe I didn't. I should have given it 5 stars because I remember really loving it and being completely impacted by it and just thinking, Jesus Christ, that was depressing. And
Obviously, you are a hater at heart, so you can't give a film you love 5 stars. That's the rules of you.
I literally spoke about one like 15 minutes ago. Whatever. And then he also released 10 years after that, The Worst Person in the World, which was like very highly praised as one of the best films of that year, and some people's favorite film. So those 2 other films are also part of this trilogy, which I have just finished with watching Reprise. I've watched it backwards because this is the first one. And then it was Oslo, August 31st, and then it's The Worst Person in the World. But they're not, like, it's a trilogy because the themes and things are similar. It's not, and it's all set in Oslo. It's not like the Before trilogy where you watch them in order.
It's not a plot trilogy, yeah.
No, they're not related to each other in terms of plot or anything.
Spiritual sequels? Are we saying spiritual sequels?
No, not even. Not even that.
Oh,
The only
it's made by
really
the
things
same
that
bloke,
connect
set in the
them,
same place.
well, and yeah, but the themes are pretty much the same. They're all quite depressing, to be honest. But anyway,
See what you like
I
it then.
think exactly. So this was his directorial debut, which is insane actually, because it's a really good film, and that's quite rare for a directorial debut to be a really good film. I gave it 4 stars. I watched it on Mubi. Shout out Mubi, we love them. And it's about these two friends who are both writers, and they both compete with each other and support each other and go through a lot of serious things, and ultimately they're also part of this friend group, which is quite fun and silly and whatever, but there's also some serious stuff that happens, and it's quite depressing. But I think it's probably the worst out of the trilogy, which I think makes sense because it's his directorial debut. But it's still a really good film. I still highly recommend it. I recommend watching all 3 of the films because I think Jürgen Trier is one of the best directors out there, to be honest. I just wish he made more films. My favourite out of the trilogy is Oslo, August 31st. That is also led by Anders Danielsen Lear, who plays the lead in this. He also plays the lead in Reprise, and he is also co-lead in The Worst Person in the World. So this guy is a brilliant actor, and the director clearly trusts him because he's in all 3 of those films. Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because it should be watched, but yeah, really good film. The Oslo trilogy is highly recommended. All 3 of them are brilliant. All 3 of them have at least 4.5 stars, 4 stars, sorry, from me. So yeah, definitely you should get on that one, Jack, if you haven't already. Then I went to the cinema. I went to BFI IMAX. I watched Sinners, which I think everyone's been talking about recently. I watched it on the 15 perf 70mm IMAX film version, which is exactly what Ryan Coogler was Ryan Coogler
Careful.
was talking about. Which is exactly what he was talking about in that video where he's explaining why it should be watched like this and all the aspect ratio changes and blah 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 whatever. And it definitely should be seen like that because it looked incredible. Some of the scenes are actually like wow, like completely blow you away. And I also love going to the BFI IMAX because the seats are really comfortable, and if I could, I would watch every single film on that screen. I just think it elevates every single film that I've watched there. And unfortunately, it's quite expensive, but it is worth it. If there's one film that you're really looking forward to, it's being shown in IMAX. Go and watch it at the BFI IMAX, especially if it's your first time watching it, because it will absolutely make you love the film more. I gave the film 4 stars. Maybe it should be 4.5, now that I think about it. I don't know why I gave it 4. Because I definitely... Okay, actually no, I do know why I gave it 4 at the beginning, after I left. It's because I left after this... No, okay, I'll give it 4.5. At the time, I went into the screening like a week after release because I was at work and I couldn't watch it earlier, and I'm kind of pissed off that I couldn't watch it on release day because all I had in my head the whole time was like, everyone loves this film. It has so much praise, like whatever. Everyone's saying it's the best film of the past few years, blah 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 blah. Like everyone's watching it, even people that usually don't go to the cinema are going to watch Sinners in IMAX or whatever. So I was just expecting it to be like absolutely incredible, and it is, but obviously your expectations are set so high that the only way they can go is, the only way that it could meet them is if it actually was a 10 out of 10, one of the best films of all time, and it's not, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think anyone expected it to be that before all those insane reviews started coming out. But it just, I don't know, it affects my way of watching films, and that's why I don't like watching films. If I've read about them, I don't like it. I don't want any preconceived notions, but that's very hard to want that for every film.
I mean, can I just
Anyway,
say very quickly, you have kind of harmed the concept of this podcast because we are very much recommending based on.
we are, but I
So you're
think
saying based on our feedback, you wouldn't watch a film?
right. But listen, the thing that we do is, I will only give 5 stars to a film if I think this is one of the best films I've ever seen. I also know that I have a very specific taste, so a me 5 star might not be a someone else's 5 star, you know, and I think I've explained that before. And
Film is subjective.
a film is subjective, you know. I don't think we like overhype films, to be honest, unless they're personally special to us. Like, I know that someone like Yorgos Lanthimos isn't everyone's cup of tea. I don't think you should expect watching Yorgos Lanthimos' film after me giving it 5 stars and yourself giving it 5 stars. Yeah, but that's because everyone's a bit biased towards certain things.
I think it's more. I think it's more impactful if I
If
give
it's
a
a
Yorgos film 5
general
stars than you.
opinion, if it's like a general opinion of, like, it's like a consensus of everyone who's ever watched the film going and watching Sinners and being like, this is the best thing ever, then I think that is more of an impact than hearing one person, like, who you trust say, oh, this film's really good, you should go watch it. Does that make sense?
Also, it's marketing, right? Like everyone's, I'm not sure I was going with that point actually.
Also, listen,
I'm excited to see it personally.
You should see it still. I'm just saying, don't expect
of course I will.
the best film ever, because that's too high expectation. And also, one thing, the issue with like a general consensus of a film being incredible or whatever is that most people aren't like us. I'm not referencing Not Like Us there.
Do not make that argument. Don't do that argument. Just stop yourself.
I'm just saying that most people aren't like some of us.
I'm not editing this out, by the way. Whatever you say, this is off. Be careful.
I have it in my head now.
I'm not editing out what you're about to say.
Okay, right. What I'm saying is that most people don't go to the cinema 5 times a week and watch every film that's ever released, or like watch these greatest films of all time from, I don't know, the 1600s. I don't do that, but they will go and watch a film.
When you watch less films, the better films will appear like the best films of all time.
Exactly, because you haven't watched enough of them to have a broader range
Okay, you've kind of sabotaged your own point there, but you have got a point.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever, I'm just waffling. But when you hear,
I'm not cutting up.
Like 1 million people say this is the best film of all time, 999,000 of them have probably also said that about something like Avengers Endgame. So, it's like...
we should say, people that watch as many films as I do, for example, we're not living healthy lives, okay? Do not try and emulate my lifestyle.
I'm
it's
not
good for
trying
you.
to be... Listen, first of all, no one's listening to this part because this is at the end, but I'm not trying to be pretentious, I'm just saying...
I've also got 3 more films to watch, so don't turn the viewers off yet.
I'm just saying that, if you watch one film every 5 years at the cinema, you're probably going to watch Sinners 5 years after watching Avengers Endgame, and then being like, oh my god, this is incredible, I can't believe there's an actual normal film that isn't Marvel that's actually good, what the hell, this is impossible, I'm giving it 5 stars.
That's a fair point.
If you, let's say,
watch move on before you get yourself cancelled,
over 100 films a year that are released in that year, then you have seen such a broad range of films that actually there's probably 10 that you liked more than this one, and 90 that you liked less, but, it's not like the best film of the past decade. Also, people comparing it to Babylon, I know this is controversial, this is nowhere near Babylon, okay? This is nowhere near Babylon. I know it looks incredible, but this is nowhere near Babylon. Like, I cannot believe people are actually arguing about that. That's crazy to say. Don't even... Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, okay? Babylon is incredible. It's a 5-star film, one of the best of all time. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but whatever. It actually annoyed me that people bring up Babylon. Like, why are you even bringing that film up? Stop talking about it. It's not yours, it's mine. Whatever. Anyway, that was Sinners. I didn't even say anything about the film. Yeah.
You said you liked it.
Yeah, I did. I also got a 70mm film strip print from going on a specific day. So that's like, I'm definitely going to frame that. It's really cool. And it was selling on eBay for quite a lot of money, but I'm not selling it. So delete those offers from the email. I'm not going to be answering that. Last film I watched in this bit was at the cinema with my mum. It's Drop, directed by Christopher Landon, who directed the Happy Death Day films that I really liked. Just fun slasher films. And this is unfortunately not a slasher film, and which disappointed me. To be honest, I just want Happy Death Day 3. Like, can we stop with this making other films? Like, can you just keep making Happy Death Day films, please? Christopher, if you're listening, because this was like fine. I gave it 3 stars. It's fine and it's fun. It's definitely more of a fun film than something like Novocaine. Like, this definitely has more substance to it as a film. It has some very cool shots and camera movements. I think the standout performance here is Brandon Sklenar, who plays Henry. I actually think he's very charismatic and charming, and he does a very good job. And I haven't really seen him before. Obviously, the actual lead is Megan Faye, whose name you hate because it's spelled very weird.
Stupid name. Stupid spelling.
She's good. I mean, she was good in The White Lotus, and she's still good here. It's just that I think they kind of throw the concept in the bin within the first 20 minutes, which is kind of like, you've marketed it around this quite unique concept of a film, and then you just throw it out the window. It's like, you could have done more with that, to be honest. But some of the, like I said, some of the cinematography, the shots are very cool. And there's, whatever. Okay, I don't know. You should probably watch it. I recommend well, not you specifically, but I do recommend watching it. Although I think Christopher should go back to making Happy Death Day films, because that was your bread and butter, and I liked them. And you know what? It is all about me, and not about you. So get back to work. That's it. That's me done.
So now I'm rounding us out on my 3. Well, how do I approach this? I'll flip the order slightly. So on the 25th, I saw 2 films, one of which was Badlands. It is Terrence Malick, who I love, his directorial debut. Very well reviewed, averaged 4 stars on Letterboxd. Starring Martin Sheen, he's just like aura farming the entire film. It's kind of insane. Sissy Spacek, who is, I think I've seen her in something else. The Straight Story, she was also in. It's kind of like, what's the comparison I saw earlier? It's kind of like, yeah, the comparison I saw earlier was Bones and All. It's kind of without the cannibalism, it's basically just 2 people on the run. Living their life, committing crimes, or Martin Sheen committing crimes, killing people randomly. Really good to look at. It's a good film, one that is unsatisfying, and I wanted more from. Hence, it got 3 stars. It's my second least favorite Malick film. Again, I liked it. The only film I didn't like from Malick is Night of Cups, which is terrible. It almost felt a little bit David Lynchian, not in terms of tone or delivery, I should say, but thematically, the kind of like death of 50s America, that kind of Americana era. There wasn't like complete similarities, but there was definitely a vibe there that I kind of felt throughout the film. Again, it wasn't something I thought of too heavily, but I mentioned it in my review. Yeah, I mean, it's a good film. It's the ending's pretty good. It gets better as it goes on. But it's got that stupid score that they use in True Romance that I hate. So that was really annoying to listen to. But I'm glad I saw it. It's good to see where Terrence Malick started. He's definitely wasn't given as much creative freedom as he was with his later. Like for me, like Thin Red Line, The New World and Tree of Life, especially Thin Red Line and New World, are two of the best films ever made. Tree of Life is very, very good, but not quite on the level. When he was probably given like freedom, and he was, you know, in that phase of his career, like he was just unstoppable. He's not quite at that point at the beginning of his career, but I'm still excited to see Days of Heaven soon. And then I need to watch To the Wonder, which I'm not very excited for, and Hidden Life, which I'm quite excited for. Yeah, I mean it's fine. But before that, I watched Black Hat, Michael Mann's Black Hat. It's like an espionage cyber thriller, starring Chris Hemsworth, who is quite good. He's good. He's not amazing, but he's good. And this film is good. It's not amazing, but it's good. It's kind of safe but stylish, as you'd expect with a Michael Mann film. It's really fucking cool. Which I said in my review, like Michael Mann makes some of the coolest films of all time. Unfortunately, in quite a lot of his films, I found there is periods where they're quite boring, which is the price you have to pay, I guess. But I watched this film because A, it's been on my radar for a while, but B, because of the final film I saw. What's the date today? 2 days ago in cinema. That I'll get to in a minute, but I kind of watched it to set me up for that because 2 days ago, it's been 30 years since Heat was released. Veronica, I know you don't like the film, but in fairness, you said in your review it's not your kind of film, which I completely accept. That's absolutely fine. But I love Heat. I saw it first. I saw it about a year ago for the first time. At home, was blown away by it. I thought it was in my top 10 films of all time. But I haven't seen it since. So when I saw it was being re-released, I saw it at number 6 in the Dockyard in Portsmouth, which I just love it there. The people seem to know me by name now, which is quite cool. You feel like that sounds big-headed, but there's a real sense of community at that cinema. I love it there. And they were showing it. I just knew I had to get a ticket, and it is, without a shadow of a doubt, I should say, it's gone into my top 4 of all time. So it's now Punch Drunk Love, Everybody Wants Some, After Hours, and Heat. Chicago got bumped out. Sorry, Chicago. But this is one of the best cinema experiences of my life. This film is so fucking loud. I thought, like, there's a scene in the middle where it's really famous. I'm not spoiling anything. Where they're getting away from a bank robbery. Even at home, that's quite a tense scene. But in the cinema, when it's just like 10 minutes of like gunfire and the noise and exhilaration, like I remember at the end of it, at the end of that sequence, the guy, I breathed out like a massive sigh of relief. I was literally like, so I was like, just finally breathed. The guy next to me, who I've kind of become friends with, he like laughed at me. But yeah, for me, this is it's a perfect film. Its audio is amazing. The cinematography, apart from the weird green screen at points, is beautiful. The color blue really pops. The script is great. The pacing, it's got some of the best pacing I've seen from any film ever, in my opinion. The acting is obviously amazing. There was a few scenes I was really excited to watch. One of which being the she's got a great ass scene, which was so good. And the audience as well. We speak a lot on this podcast about audience in the theatre. The audience was fucking locked in to the vibe, and they laughed at the right moments. There was tension. It was just perfect. It was the perfect cinematic experience. And one plot point I appreciate even more was Natalie Portman's plot, which is very much put to the side. But when that moment hits in the third act, it's so like powerful because the whole storyline is shunned, much like her character, which makes that moment hit really well. Yeah, it's a perfect film in my opinion. It's absolutely magnificent. Veronica, I've got 2 more things I want to do. One of which I've told you about, one of which I haven't. Can you talk us through your top 4?
Yeah, okay, my new top 4 is Paris, Texas, obviously, because it's never leaving. La
Of
Haine,
course.
Poor Things, and Everybody
Come
Wants
on,
Some.
please. Whoa, that's the only one we've. Wow,
And that's
this
a
is a huge
really,
moment for the podcast.
I think that's a really good top 4. I think it has range,
I
for
agree.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think our top 4s
Yeah.
both look pretty good. I'm so happy you got Everybody Wants Some in there.
Yeah,
I might rewatch it soon.
recently wanted to watch it again. I just started thinking about it and I was like, fuck, I want to rewatch it so bad. But I didn't,
Yeah.
because I want to have it on DVD. I want the physical thing and I want to watch it. Like I did for Hitman. I have the Hitman DVD from Italy, which, because Netflix just will not release a proper one. a Blu-ray or anything because they're dickheads. But
Up your game, Netflix.
yeah,
Now, I'm going to start a new feature at the end of these episodes. It's very quick. It won't be too stressful. At the top of every episode in the intro line, it's we work through the do's and don'ts of film watching, and obviously we talk about films we like and what we've seen and what we don't like. But I want you to talk through one do and one don't. What is one film that you've seen in the last couple of weeks that we've talked about today that you absolutely recommend that you think a lot of people will like, and what is one film you think people should avoid that we spoke about today?
that's a really good bit. Wow, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Definitely go watch Lahane, especially if it's at a
You can
cinema.
only do one, by the way. You've got to be really
Yeah,
careful here.
that's my one. Watch Lahane.
What's one you don't recommend? What's one you'd want people to avoid?
Tornado.
Yeah, good.
It will release soon.
My
Do
one
not
to
go
watch.
watch it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not it. With the price of cinemas these days, it's not worth it.
Mm.
Mine would have been Tornado, so I'll just choose a different one. My recommend is Velvet Goldmine. Um, I fucking love that film. It's so good. And my don't watch is Manhattan. It's a classic, sure, but it's really not good. It's really overrated. There are so many better films. There's better Woody Allen films to watch. Just go watch Midnight in Paris. That's a substantially better film, and even that's not great. But yeah, on that note, we're at the end of another episode. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. It's at FloodlightsPod. Oh, I should say, yesterday I hosted James Lawrence Alcott's Twitter space covering the Liverpool Spurs game. So that should be on their feed. If you want to go listen to a bit more football chat from me, go listen to that. We had Mike Quill on the show, Ali, who will be on the podcast soon. Obviously, Mike was on right at the beginning, and Abdul from Watch LFC, who was good fun as well. So go listen to that. Our letterbox, mine is jhangle46, I think. I hope so. Veronica's is Slow Panda. Medium and Instagram will be in the description of the episode, so I'd have to remember the app for that. Veronica, it's been a pleasure as always. Can you let people know how they can get in touch with us?
Yep, they can email us at floodlightpod@gmail.com. We want emails. I love emails.
Not just you, Ben. Ben, you can email back, of course, but, other people. We'll be back next week. But until then, keep watching and keep consuming.